right, welcome to the 2019 Seahawks 53-man roster prediction. All right, so let's get right into it. I think we're going to just keep two quarterbacks, obviously Russell Wilson, and I think we're going to keep Geno Smith. Geno has a lot more experience than Paxton Lynch, and JT Barrett was kind of brought in as a fill-in because we had some injuries in the preseason. So I think we're going to keep the two guys, Russell and Geno, and leave it at that. Paxton Lynch will probably get a job in the CFL or XFL, or we might ask him to stay on the practice squad, but two's enough. Russell's obviously super durable, so hopefully, knock on wood, the offensive line can take care of him this year. For running backs, I think we're gonna keep 5. I think your starter is gonna be Chris Carson, coming off a very strong season, and then Rashad Penny going into his second year. Obviously, Rashad is a very recent first-round draft pick out of San Diego State. I think he'll get a lot more touches this year, and Pete Carroll was saying that Chris Carson was going to get a lot more looks at catching the ball, so that'll be good. I think Nick Bellore is going to be a key special teams guy, former Lions player, and he'll also play some fullback for us. I think Travis Homer out of Miami, 7th round draft pick, I think we picked him up. He seems like a really good backup as well, and someone that the team really likes. And lastly, I think we're going to keep J.D. McKissic. The Seahawks tend to like really versatile players, and everyone always talks about how good Nick Bellore, J.D. McKissic, and Travis Homer are on special teams, so I think that's huge for us. That means CJ Prosise is gone. We really tried to play him. I think the coaching staff has really liked him for the last couple of years, but he just hasn't been able to stay healthy. I think he'll get a job somewhere else in the NFL, but I don't know if he'll make the team this year. Also, Xavier Turner is a really good running back, but I just don't think that they have enough room for him on the roster. So we're sticking with the 5 running backs: Carson, Penny, Bellore, Homer, and McKissic. All right. So moving on to receivers. With my man Doug Baldwin retiring, unfortunately, we are left with a very young receiving core, but with a lot of potential, hopefully. So our number one wideout is definitely Tyler Lockett, coming off of a great season with a perfect QB rating when thrown to him last year from Russell. DK Metcalf is going to make the team, 2nd round draft pick. They love him. David Moore is currently injured. I'm recording this on Thursday, August 23. This is before the 3rd preseason game, so I don't know what's going to happen as far as injuries, but David Moore is probably going to make the team, but he's currently not playing. Jerron Brown, they really like him. He might be our 2nd receiver this year. So that is 4 so far: Lockett, Metcalf, Moore, and Brown. I think we're probably going to let Gary Jennings go. We just drafted him in the 4th round, and he just hasn't had the ball thrown to him very much in the preseason, and he just hasn't really stood out. And you know, to make the Seahawks squad, you need to stand out at your position, but also on special teams, and just haven't heard a lot about him. So I think the 5th and final guy is Jazz Ferguson. So Jazz Ferguson's a big dude, and they've thrown the ball to him a lot. So I know it's the preseason, but he just has all the physical attributes that they have in Metcalf too, but I think just having one big receiver is going to be really helpful. So kind of a dark horse to make the squad is John Ursua. I think they're trying to look for a replacement for Doug Baldwin. If we can sneak him onto the practice squad, that would be awesome, but who knows. So that means we would cut Amara Darboh from Michigan, John Ursua, we want to keep on the practice squad from Hawaii. Terry Wright would be gone. Malik Turner would be gone. And Keenan Reynolds would be gone too. Another player I really like, but it's just hard to keep that many wideouts. So for sure, Lockett, Metcalf, Jaron Brown, David Moore, and either Jazz Ferguson or John Ursula, but I'm saying we're going to keep 5. Next up, tight ends. We got Will Dissly back this year from his patellar injury from UW, so local guy, and he's going to be great. He doubles as an offensive lineman as well, just how big he is, but he can really catch. So Will Dissly, Nick Vannett, and I think we're going to actually keep Ed Dixon. Ed Dixon is a veteran, and he has kind of a larger salary cap hit. But I think for depth and experience and just pure skill, I think the best tight end room would be Will Dissly, Nick Vannett, and Ed Dixon. So that means we would cut Jacob Hollister, who we just traded a 7th round draft pick to the Patriots to get, but I don't think he's, hasn't really shown anything yet. And Jackson Harris and Wes Saxton, those guys would be gone, unfortunately. So I think 3 tight ends. Offensive line, I think people are underestimating this offensive line this year. The last several years, basically since our Super Bowl runs, we just like every offseason just like talk about how bad the offensive line is, and we just haven't heard a lot about them, which is a good sign. So Duane Brown, definitely keeping. DJ Fluker, Justin Britt, Mike Iupati, Jermaine Ifedi, George Fant, Ethan Posick, Joey Hunt, and Jamarco Jones. So Jamarco is basically a rookie, and Joey Hunt, he's been on a roster for a couple years. Ethan Posick, these guys are really, really versatile, which our team likes. George Fant is going to be, kind of a hybrid. He can play tight end. He can also play right or left tackle, so that's nice. Iupati brings a lot of veteran experience. Jermaine Ifedi, I think, is going into a contract year, so he's going to work his tail off, I think. Justin Britt's super solid at center, and then Fluker is just going to maul people, and he's just on a 1-year deal too, so that's good. And then Duane Brown is kind of the leader. He's the left tackle, and he's got all the experience, and I think we're going to have a really good room there. So that leaves Marcus Martin, Phil Haynes, Demetrius Knox, Jordan Roos, Jordan Simmons, and Elijah Nakonsa, all cut or asked to be on the practice squad. So that leaves 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 offensive linemen. So defensive line, we have a lot of people here, and we need the depth. So Ziggy Ansah, for sure. 1st round draft pick, LJ Collier out of TCU. We can keep him. Al Woods, he's a veteran from the Bills. We need that run stopper. Poona Ford, who's been really popping this offseason and this preseason. Rasheem Green, Cassius Marsh, Quinn Jefferson, Jacob Martin, and Barkevius Mingo. So those are those are pretty sure. Then here's where it gets kind of tricky. Quinn Jefferson is just solid, but he hasn't really popped a lot this preseason, and they're kind of waiting for him, homegrown player. They're really waiting for him to go, so I think he'll make the team. Brian Monet has really popped this preseason. I keep saying pop. And obviously we have Jaron Reed, who is suspended for the first several games of the season. Due to an off-field incident that he did not get charged, or he didn't get charged for anything. So I think that's a crazy decision by the NFL. If someone goes through the entire legal system and then doesn't get charged, is not guilty for anything, and then you don't pay them for X amount of games and you ruin their reputation, I guess it's a private company, but it's still, I don't think it's the Shield's job to go over the legal system. Anyway, That leaves DeMarcus Christmas. We drafted him in the late rounds. He'll be on the PUP list. So unfortunately, Jamie Meter, Nazir Jones, JT Tuili, and Earl Mitchell would be on the bubble. So it's hard to say, but you know, the team again likes these really versatile guys. Cassius Marsh is a really good special teams guy. Jacob Martin and Barkevious Mingo, they can also play linebacker, so it's really hard to keep people that can only, players that can only do one thing unless they're really, really good at it. So just haven't heard Earl Mitchell's name at all, but it wouldn't surprise me if they kept him. And then the last piece of the defensive line that we haven't really talked about is, we might pick up someone like Jadeveon Clowney or someone from another team, and that would just change the whole thing. So I'm just predicting, like, with what we got right now, we have Anza, Collier, Ford, Jefferson, Woods, Green, Marsh, Bonet, Martin, Mingo, and Jackson. So I think we have 11. The guy that gets cut if we get Jadeveon Clowney is probably Brandon Jackson, maybe Barkevious Mingo if they want to save some money. And if they get Clowney, Ed Dixon out of the tight ends might go because he's got a little bit of a cap hit. So Mingo or Dixon would be on the bubble money-wise if they get Clowney because he's making some bank. Linebackers. The Seahawks are really, really excited about their linebackers this year, and for good reason. Got probably the most experience there, but also Ken Norton Jr., who's our defensive coordinator, is a former linebacker and a 3-time Super Bowl champion. So he really cares about linebackers. So Bobby Wagner just signed a big deal. All-Pro, obviously. We got KJ Wright and Michael Kendricks. Those are your 3 starters. And then Austin Calitro and Cody Barton. So they really like Calitro as special teams guy and a backup, and he just plays really hard. Cody Barton has really, really done well this offseason, preseason, just as a draft pick. They're like, this guy can make all the calls. He's like the heir apparent to Bobby Wagner in like 3 years or whatever. So that's cool. Unfortunately, that leaves Shaquem Griffin on the bubble. That leaves Ben Burkervin from UW on the bubble, BBK, right? Justin Curry, Jawan Johnson, and Jawan Young. Those guys are on the bubble too. So I think it's possible that they keep Shaquem Griffin because of his special teams play, but I don't see them keeping BBK on their active roster. But again, I think they'll try to sneak him onto the practice squad. So if they go with 5 linebackers, it's Wagner, Wright, Kendricks, Barton, Calitro, and if there's 6, it's going to be Shaquem Griffin. Again, it's kind of difficult because you have some of those defensive linemen like Mingo and Martin that can play linebacker. So it's again hard to say, but special teams are so important to the Seahawks that I think people got to look at that when they're making these predictions. So cornerbacks, you're definitely going to keep twin brother Keel Griffin, aka Shaquille Griffin, Trey Flowers, Neiko Thorpe, Akeem King, and Jamar Taylor. So Griffin and Flowers were our starters last year, and I think that they're just going to hopefully take another step forward, and they're going to return. Neiko Thorpe is one of our special teams captains, so he's definitely playing. I think he'll play some corner, but also he'll play some nickel as well. Akeem King for good things, he's lanky. Jamar Taylor, I don't know a lot about, but I've heard more about him than these other guys that aren't making the team, sorry. Jeremy Boykin, Simeon Thomas, and Kalen Reed probably gonna be cut, or again, Reed might be asked to be on the practice squad. For safeties, really pumped about Ugo Amadi. We just drafted him from Oregon. He's done a lot of good stuff on defense, but also on special teams in the preseason so far. He's definitely one of our safeties. Deshaun Shedd, welcome back. Really glad that number 35 is back in Seattle after a 1-year break in Detroit. Marquise Blair out of Utah State. He's having some back spasms right now. That's not good, but he would make the team if he's healthy. Tedrick Thompson, T2, they really, really like him. And Bradley McDougall with kind of all the versatility. This is kind of a strange group because we're just used to Cam Chancellor, we're used to Earl Thomas, and we don't really know what's going to look like. So there's been talk about the Seahawks playing more like 3 deep safety, 1 deep, like just changing it up from the last couple of years. So we'll see. So that means Delano Hill, who they drafted recently, is on the bubble. Jalen Harvey and Shalom Luani would be cut in this scenario. It's possible that, you know, if Blair's on the PUP or something, Delano Hill could definitely be on the team. Or if Tedrick Thompson doesn't take the next step, he might be on the bubble as well. But I'm pretty sure McDougall, Blair, Amadi, Shed, and Thompson are your 5 safeties. Lastly, special teams, it's like pretty much set in stone. We upgraded after last season by, you know, Sebastian Janikowski was at the end of his career literally, and that was kind of a mess. So we picked up Jason Myers for our place kicker. Michael Dixon is returning as our punter, and he is awesome. And then Tyler Ott is our long snapper. So there you go. So the main cuts I see for the 53-man roster are Paxton Lynch. I don't think Bo Scarborough or CJ Prosise or Xavier Turner are going to be able to make the running back room. I think it's going to be really hard to keep Ferguson, Darbo, Ursula, Wright, Reynolds, and Turner. So it's, you know, but if David Moore is on PUP, maybe you bring up John Ursula, or maybe you bring up Jazz Ferguson. 2 guys have done well this preseason, done everything the Seahawks asked for. I do think that we'll keep Ed Dixon in the tight end room, and we will not keep Jacob Holster, who the Patriots didn't want, and they definitely need tight ends. So it begs the question, why did they trade him? No huge cuts on the offensive line. We're pretty good there, knock on wood. Hopefully we'll have a healthy season there. As far as defensive line, we have a lot of unproven pass rushers, but in the Seahawks system, it could work. It could work. I would personally feel better if we had Clowney and Ziggy Ansah on either side. And, you know, you had people like Poona Ford in the middle. You had Rasheem Green that can move everywhere. You have Jerron Reed later on in the middle. And then you have these big guys, Al Woods, and, you know, that can plug up the middle. Would be good. Him and Earl Mitchell if he makes the team. So no big cuts there. Jamie Meter, Nazir Jones, like him a lot, but just haven't heard a lot about him this season. With the linebackers, I think it's really going to be hard to keep UW's Ben Burkervin and Shaquem Griffin, excuse me. Can't get the twins mixed up. Shaquem Griffin, because of their lack of size and versatility. I think Griffin is more versatile right now than BBK. I think BBK is a little bit small for the NFL right now, but I think he will be a great player. But we just have kind of a stacked linebacker room right now. So hopefully, practice squad. Cornerbacks, not a lot of news there. And safeties, the question is Blair going to be healthy? Is Delano Hill going to make the team, or are they gonna shuffle things up? Tedrick Thompson seems to be safe, but you never know. Special teams is good to go. I hope this added some value to you Seahawks fans, and I'm hoping for a great season. Lastly, as promised in the title, I'm going to give you my prediction of record. We're going to go 10-6. We're going to go 10-6, and we're going to be fighting for the division lead. It's going to come down to a tiebreaker. Not sure what the tiebreaker is, but it's going to be between us and the Rams. I think we will win the NFC West. I think we will win the NFC Championship, and I think we are going to the Super Bowl. I'm saying it right now. We're going to the Super Bowl. I don't know if we'll win, but we're going. I'm predicting this now. August 23, 2019. Seahawks Super Bowl champions. Whether or not we get another pass rusher, because we are second half team. We're second half of the season team, and Russell Wilson has a legitimate offensive line. We're going to run the ball a lot, and our defense by the end of the year, even though they're really young, they're going to have a lot of really great experience under their belt, and they are going to shock the NFL with their speed. Anyway,